It won't be long now. The 24 Michigan football opener set to kick off tomorrow night in Ann Arbor. And we have former Wolverine Jerry Diorio, who will join us on the post game tomorrow. And he's joining us right now live a little bit after 2 o'clock to talk about the Wolverines, the defending champs, as they look to defend their natty starting tomorrow night against Fresno. Jerry, you ready?
Great to be a Michigan Wolverine, Denny. Didn't they used to say one more wake up in Nom?
Yeah, well, that's where we're at.
One more wake up, baby, and the season starts.
Look at Ferris. He's so happy just to hear about some football, and he says, one more sleep. He's right with you.
One more sleep, baby. I'm with you, Ferris. I saw it out there. I'm with you.
We're going to talk about the opener. We've got a lot of other things from the college football season getting underway, the rest of the games this weekend, anything else that might be on our minds, like that documentary. We'll ask Jerry if he watched that. But we'll start, not only is it the opener, a bit of surprising news in that it appears that it's going to be Davis Warren as your starting quarterback for the Maize and Blue tomorrow. Jerry, when you hear that, what are your thoughts?
What were the odds? What were the odds on that one? I never saw that one coming, Denny. I didn't see it.
I'll tell you, if I had to put the odds out after the season last year, I would have had Orgy as the favorite for sure, with Jack Tuttle in the mix, and then even Jaden Denegal in the mix in front of Warren. So he came from, I don't know, 3 back, 4 back, really.
5, because you also got Jaden Davis in there.
Well,
too.
you do. You've had him. So this is something else, and it's been pointed out, and we can point it out too. This was a kid that when I talked about it, you said you never count him out. He had leukemia when he was in high school, and he didn't get his tape because of the pandemic, so he didn't get that ranking. And then from California, he walks on to Michigan, and here he is. He's going to start for the defending champ. That's a hell of a trajectory for Davis Warren to be able to do it. And he comes out of nowhere, and we've seen him in some mop-up duty like against Hawaii, and we've seen him for the last 3 spring games. He's got a big arm. That was the first thing that I saw in the spring. He can throw it all over the place, and he's got a quick release. I watched every throw of the spring game this morning, just in taking a look at him. He's a big kid. He's got some mobility. He can really, he can move it around. He moves around. People are saying, hey, he moves around like JJ back there.
Pretty accurate.
Yeah, I think that's an accurate description, and I don't know how accurate he is. He looked, I was just watching they had some cut-ups of all of his positive passes, so I didn't see, I know he threw some picks, and 2 years ago in the spring game, him and Tuttle were turning it over a lot, but real big arm and a quick release, and he's got some pretty good mobility, more maybe better than you think. TJ Guy was asked about both quarterbacks on Monday, and he said, Orgy's obviously a really physical, big, and fast runner. And then he said, but, Davis Warren has some wheels too, and you can see that. He's not a statue back there. He's somebody that can, use his legs and pick up some yardage. I don't think he's J.J. McCarthy in the run game, but he's definitely, can move around a little bit.
Well, Denny, here's the thing. I love seeing people come out of competition and win jobs, because that tells you they are tested. They've gone through the test. They've done their thing. They've impressed the coaches. What has impressed the coaches? I don't know. Has it been that he's been accurate, that he has the big, strong arm, or is the offense responding to him and moving the ball better in the spring and in the fall? So, this guy coming from I'm saying he came from 5 back, Denny. I'm saying he came from 5 back, and I don't think that's hyperbole. I think he went through the whole thing and beat everybody out. And if he's our starting quarterback, I think he's answered already a lot of questions in the coaches and players' mind in the preseason, and they feel good. They feel good and confident with them.
I think there's a part about it. We spend so much time looking at the recruiting rankings, and not you, Jerry. I'm saying maybe everyone else that hasn't played, and so when you hear about a walk on, you're thinking, wait a second, should I feel good about this or not? I know you just said you do feel good. You stated your reasons. I felt like coming out of spring that it was, Alex Orji's job to lose. And I feel like, this is not a fair thing to say, but it is how I think a lot of people feel. And I feel like it myself here the day before, that Orji lost the job more than Warren won it. But Warren did have to go out. It's not like he didn't go out in this heated competition and make the plays to win the job. But I think that Michigan, and I think they're the best version of themselves, their highest ceiling was going to be if Alex Orji won this job and was able to push the ball down the field and be more accurate in the passing game. Now, that doesn't mean that Warren can't do it all. I'm just saying that I'm a little bit more skeptical because of how it's played out.
I don't know, Denny. I mean, to say Alex Orji lost the job as opposed, I don't know if that's how accurate that is. I'm not sure about that.
Very fair. I didn't see the press.
I will say this. I'm going to give Scar a heck of a freaking shout out, because I'm not crazy about it, but I can see a 2-quarterback system coming up this spring. I really do. Orji's too big a talent not to have him on the field a little bit. And I think they're going to give him the snaps. I think maybe this is something that they have been playing with all summer and all preseason, all spring, and they figured out a way to utilize it. I would not be surprised if we see Orji get 20 to 25 snaps tomorrow.
Yeah, that would be a surprise to me. I think that you will see Orji, but I believe it's not just an Orji. They're going to bring in Orji in I would think a short yardage situation type thing, or a goal line type situation. And then they might play it by ear, what kind of success he's having. But that's the problem when you start rotating guys in. If Michigan is having some success and then they put Orji in and you're giving him more than a snap or two, well, then you have a full on quarterback controversy, depending on however it plays out with Orji then compared to Warren. And then you get into halftime and then everything else. And the thing, people are like, who cares? The coaches know best and everything else. That's fine. I get that part. It can work against you when you got 110,000 people and everybody's like, wait, whoa, they don't know what's going on. And the crowd gets to not give somebody the full opportunity out there, especially when you're staring Texas in the face the week before. It just pops up a bunch of different questions for me. And I like to reduce the amount of questions, not, have a bunch more. So, maybe it'll work out magnificently for the Maize and Blue, but I'm skeptical of that. But I do think that Orji in run situations, I bet he will come in. The guy's 6'3" and 240 or whatever he is. And yeah, is it telegraphing what Michigan's going to do? Of course, but I've watched Michigan the last 3 years on 4th and 1 when Hassan Haskins was the back, and I'm like, I know they're giving it to Hassan Haskins.
Exactly.
He's going to be jumping over. And then the last 2 years, I knew they were giving it to Blake Corum. Yeah, I knew every time. It's like, they're giving it to Blake Corum. And they did give it to Blake Corum almost every time. So Orji's coming in, and that they're going to smash, and then, we'll see how he's we do know that he's a hell of a runner. Starting against he had runs against Ohio State, Iowa, Alabama, and Washington. He got healthy last year. He had 2 runs in all 4 of those games. So they had the Orji package, and they were running them. I do think, you said 30 snaps. I think more.
20. I'm saying 20 to 25.
20 to 25. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, that's a lot. Yeah, I think that if you get in the game, looks like it's over in the 4th quarter, then I could see Orji getting some run there. So I don't know. It makes it. I'm already intrigued about the game and everything that was going on out there. This adds, takes everything and throws it over there, and this becomes, the marquee. What?
Jenny, when you have 3 surprises coming through camp, I think you got to wait until see the first game and see where they are. We got a center that came out of nowhere. Guys, Link basically coming out of nowhere and taking a job. So, I mean, these were 3 big surprises coming out of the fall. And if that's our starting lineup, that was unexpected. That was very unexpected going into the fall. And I think you just got to have to wait and see how we look tomorrow night to see if in fact these guys won the job or the other guys lost the job. And it's kind of unnerving. It's kind of unnerving. The nice thing about it is we do have that defense on the other side of the ball that can make up for a lot. And these guys are going to gain more confidence and more experience as the season goes on. And, we do have Texas number 2. But Denny, surprising thing about Texas. I was watching a show the other day. Who was Brady Quinn was the quarterback at Notre Dame, right? Okay, and he's the big-time analysis. And I guess I was watching Fox. And he was talking to Will Kane. And Will Kane was all pissed off because Brady Quinn didn't have his Texas Longhorns in the top 4 in the Southeastern Conference. Okay? And what that told me is Brady Quinn does not believe in Texas. I think we're going into the season just like everybody else. We've got some question marks, just like, I used to say this. Every high school is waiting on 4 or 5 players to see how they work out. And I think we're in the college area. We're looking at 3 players on the Michigan offensive team to see how we're looking or see how we came out of the fall and spring. See how these guys matured. Who knows, Denny? They could have won the job, and we have stepped up in those positions. But the funny thing is, Texas, everybody's saying how good Texas is, and we got to improve right away and get up there. And let's take this first game. Let's win this first game. Let's get this win under our belt. Let's get this first win because a lot happens between 1 and 2. Week 1 and 2, Bo used to say that's the most improvement your team is going to make is between week 1 and week 2. So I think we're in the same spot as pretty much everybody else in the country. We've got a few people that we're looking at to see how our seasons or going to be and if they're going to be successful. But the nice thing that we're sitting in is a defense that is very dominant with a lot of people returning and probably is going to be ranked in the top 3 at the end of the year.
There's been a lot of talk all off season about how Michigan was going to perform this year, having such big shoes to fill everywhere, especially on offense. And that is the good news. There's going to be a lot of the overreaction, however it plays out tomorrow night. But then, you're talking about Texas. That's a big first test. I mean, that is as big a test as anybody has in all of college football. So if we're sitting here,
or is Michigan the big test for Texas?
Well, any way it goes, Jerry, if Michigan wins that game, the coaching staff, what are they're geniuses. There's the baton has been handed off, a seamless transition. Michigan's right back in the thick of things to defend their national championship. If things look a little, wonky or something tomorrow night, the arrow and the question marks and the pressure goes right at Sharon Moore. And then depending on how things go week 2, I mean, he's either going to be off to this greatest start and boy, he is off and running, or you got big question marks. And that's what he has set himself up for. Now, I'm glad that he's making the move that he really feels is going to be best for Michigan. And he's not just going out there and doing something to like, wow, I'm going to do this because I don't want everybody coming after me or something. He's making the moves that he thinks is going to be best. So he does have that. I just have to look at it how I felt about it all off season. The biggest question mark was going to be the quarterback, and it was going to be Orji who gave him the highest ceiling. And after that, maybe they would go with the experienced guy Tuttle. And I think they were thinking that. And then Tuttle got hurt, And then he came back, and then there was more talk like, oh, Tuttle can really move this team. And then Tuttle got hurt again. So then here comes Warren. That, I would say, worries me. That's a gigantic question mark to me. So we'll see. It's not like I'm hoping that the kid falls flat on his face or something. I hope he's great. And there have been plenty of walk-ons, and even though he, wasn't really a walk-on because of his circumstances or whatever else, Stenson Bennett won back-to-back national championships pretty recently. So, you can come in. It doesn't matter if you're a backup or a walk-on or whatever else, and you can have the success. I just have to look at it, and for people that are tuning in saying, hey, should I be worried? I don't know. I would say that I would, people say wild. It is a wild story that Davis Warren is going to be Michigan's starting quarterback. Now, you're a big Michigan fan out there and you're watching, you're like, I just, praying, and I think everything's going to be great. I think that's a fine approach. I'm telling you that this has come out of nowhere, and it's a huge surprise, and it's the number one question mark about the Michigan football team in 24. Number two question mark for me all along, even though you and Scar have talked me down each and every week about the offensive line is going to be fine, but the offensive line, and, Scar kept telling me, oh, hey, I waited around for 4 years, and then I got my chance. And so, you're telling me Crippen stayed around, and he's Harbaugh last year was saying, oh, he's a pro. And now, he's got a guy that flipped over from defense that's won the job. I don't know if that's concerning or not. And then you got a freshman, right tackle that's just jumped in and he's going to start. Those things, that can be great. Well, Jeff Backus started for the 97 team as a redshirt freshman. And, he ended up being one of the great tackles in Michigan history. So that can happen. Talent can get out there, but the two biggest things that I thought were the two biggest question marks are even bigger question marks on the eve of the start of the opener.
Denny, you said a mouthful. You mentioned Gaidis going from the D, and you're worried about it, and I agree with you, and I understand where you're coming from, but I guess I go back to remembering a guy by the name of Mike Sanistil who went from receiver to DB and did pretty well in that transition. And that happens a lot in football, Denny. There's plenty of times where people are recruited and thought to come in at this position and they change. And so there's a reason Guy Deese is getting that job. And from everything I've heard and witnessed this last 6 months, Guy Deese has been an absolute stud in the offensive on the offensive line and in that meeting room. When they watch film, Guy Deese is grading out the best. He is doing a great job. For him to come in and beat out Crippen, and Anderson. Don't forget Anderson too. You've got three solid centers right now on that team. And I think they got three solid centers. I don't know what happened to Crippen. I'm trying to figure that out. Whether maybe having that leadership role on the line is something beyond him or whatever. Making calls, getting us in the right situation. Maybe he wasn't doing that real well. I don't know. But for Guy Deese to come out of nowhere and win that job. You're not talking about two bad centers there with Anderson and Crippen. Even if Crippen is falling on himself, Anderson, I wouldn't think. I would think Anderson would be a great substitute and move right in. But they felt like, Guy Deese moving from actually defense line to guard, now the center, they obviously felt like they had to get him on the field.
Yeah, it makes me wonder if those guys got hurt. And you're talking about you have a third stringer, but those are the things that when you button up everything like Michigan always has, it's fine. That's what they do. And they go into their submarine and then they come out and then this is how it plays out. Instead of me just sitting back going, oh yeah, everything's going to be great. And it might be, it might, I'm having fun with it. Believe me, people are watching like, hey, get fired up. Let's go. Get behind the team. I get that. I just wonder if, Jadis, if, he's the third string guy and the two guys in front of him got banged up. I don't know that. I hope that he went out there and he's
I
just.
don't think that's the case, then.
I remember during the spring game when we were watching the film, and we'll watch some Fresno film here in a moment, that Jerry, you pointed, because remember, his name doesn't look like Jadis. You're over there, you're like, who's this guy Dice or whatever, and then you're like, he looks pretty good over there at right guard. So I think El Hadi was a little bit banged up in the spring, but you pointed out a couple times that you like this 56, and so if you're really good at guard, and then was he in spring? If you're an interior offensive lineman, you've mentioned it, you're taking snaps. You're not only working at right guard, but then you're taking some snaps as well at center. If you're just because you're an interior offensive lineman, I don't know how that is. So it makes it adds to the intrigue, which is already sky high, and so I don't know, when you're sky high and at your ceiling of intrigue and your cup is full, and then you drop a fourth, fifth string. I don't know. Here comes a quarterback out of nowhere. Here comes a center that could have been the third string that was playing defensive tackle last year. You got a freshman right tackle. It's like, all right, let's go.
I'm gonna. Jim Scar, as a former guard, how important is it having a mental physical connection to the center tackle, the ability to communicate? Scar, great question. The center's it. The center's it. He sees both sides of the line of scrimmage. He's the one communicating, and he's pretty much communicating to the offense. And that means the quarterback as well. So our center is putting us in the position, into the blocking scheme that we need to be in to be successful. And that's a huge, huge responsibility. And there's some, Denny, here's the thing. Here, with all being said and done, we got 3 starters that came out of nowhere to get positions. You know what? Tomorrow night is such a great night because we're not playing a patsy. We're playing Fresno State, a very capable team with a very capable defense, a very capable defensive coordinator with tons of experience. We're going to find out about ourselves right away and see if these guys won the positions or lost the positions. And we're going to tell a lot in this Fresno game. This Fresno game is very important, very big game. It's going to tell us a lot, and I think our kids are going to respond. I just don't see us coming in with 3 new starters without injury or anything else, that these guys didn't win the position. I have it hard to believe to think that those other 3 lost the position. I'm not crazy about it. And I'm not talking the other 3. I'm talking a lot of other people. We're not talking about just Orgy. We're talking about Jaden Davis. We're talking about Tuttle. We're talking about Denigal. All those guys he went ahead of. Link. We're not talking about just Percy. We're talking about the whole depth of the offensive tackles. And here he is. He's coming in. Guy Deese. He's not coming in over 1. He's coming over 2 that have been in that position. So I tend to think, and I'm going to believe, that these guys won the position as opposed to lost it. And I'm just as shocked as anybody, Denny. I've been calling Orgy out and saying from the spring game. I remember I was always the Denigal guy. I liked Jaden Denigal. I thought he was a real solid quarterback. As big as he is, arm strength, mobility, and very disappointed in his performance in the spring game. And he came back. I heard some good things about him in the fall, and I thought maybe he might make a push. But obviously, Jaden Dennis is holding everybody off and making the right moves.
The OG of offensive guard, Jerry Diorio. He's our OG here. I want to ask you a question. There was somebody, you read the feedback, and it said James Scarcelli. Do you think that's an imposter? The way that the question was asked sounded like it was our own Scar, and I believe that it would be. That sounds like a question that he would ask you, but he's never put any feedback on there before. What are your thoughts there?
Very good question. Sounded like an intelligent young man asking a good question.
So you don't know, but you suspect that it is Scar.
I believe it is.
Okay, let's look at, speaking of some of this feedback, Kenneth says Texas is the Ohio team we beat before. They're not going to be able to handle that zone. Is he talking about the zone blocking scheme, Jerry? Is that what you would think he would be talking about there?
He might also be talking, when Brady Quinn made that comment, he had a lot of things he was holding back. You could tell he was holding back a lot of stuff, a lot of information. But at the end of the day, at the end of his comment, he said it right. Texas has got a lot of questions, a lot of people that are missing, a defensive line that's missing, a receiver core that's missing, a running back core that's missing, offensive linemen that are missing. We're missing some people, but remember, the people we're missing on defense, we were 22 deep last year, and all 22 could start on any team in the country. We're missing a lot of people on offense, but we're missing 5 offensive linemen at the University of Offensive Linemen. Okay? We're missing a second tight end, and we got a guy that is as fast as anybody on the field. So I like where we're at, and they got to come up here. Texas, we're going to learn a lot against Fresno, and this Fresno game is going to get us ready for Texas.
Mark is talking about a rotation on the offensive line. He's saying, or actually, I think he's talking about maybe going to a line of 6, 7 tackles like we saw last year, as recently as the championship game. That was something that Michigan did. Do you think you might see, if it is Link starting over there, that you could also see Percy and Gentry coming in along with the tight ends, that you have that sort of smash formation offensive line? Jerry, I would predict, and I would expect to see that. If I was handicapping it, I would say it's plus 130 that Michigan's going to show a formation with 6, 7 tackles.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. We're going to have 7 offensive linemen in the game tomorrow some point in time. Just to show Texas, you better prepare for it. They're going to have 6, 7, 8 offensive linemen in a game at one time tomorrow. So that you're going to see Percy. You're going to probably see you're going to probably see some different people in there. And you're going to probably see Percy alternating a little bit, maybe taking a series from Link if Link is the starter. So, maybe 2-1. Remember, Denny, I remember when I was growing up, Bear Bryant was famous for platooning his offensive line. And what I mean by that is he would have his starters go 2 or 3 series and then bring in his backups right behind it for 2 or 3 series. Okay. And that's how he had his depth. And that's how his teams were well prepared at the end of the season and very strong. So, is that something that Sharon's thinking about? Hey, I got enough offensive linemen in here that I could really wear down a defensive line with my depth and go at them.
All right, so yeah, it looks like Davis Warren is going to be your starting quarterback. It's a night game. It's the opener. What else? We've talked all about the possibility of now the Jadis, a freshman right tackle. What else, when you think about the offense and you look at it, Jerry, what else can you tell the people about, when they say, hey, what are we going to see out there from Michigan, Jerry? How do you think Michigan comes out?
I think what you're going to see is a first half of feeling each other out, punching and counter punching. Probably take the lead by 10. And then in the second half, our guys are going to start improving and start laying the hammer down. And I think that's what you're going to see with our team. We're not going to come out and just explode and throw the ball all over the place. I think Sharon is going to want to come in, establish that run, establish the ground game, and make it easier for his quarterback to be able to throw later on in the game, and establish that run game for later on in the game. Remember, when you're running the ball, defenses get tired, and those 3 and 4 and 5-yard runs become 6 to 10 in the second half, and then busting in the fourth quarter. So, especially in the first game, it's going to be hot. There's going to be some tongues hanging on the ground a little bit with all the excitement and the heat and all the other stuff. So I think you're going to see a real filling out period in the first half, and Michigan will step on it in the second half. But
You know
because Fresno's a good team. Do not sleep on this team at all.
Yeah, they got a quarterback that can really fire it. He spins it. He'll throw it into tight windows. He's got a nice arm. You could see him being, I wouldn't say a drafted quarterback, but you could see him being on someone's practice squad, being in the NFL. That's how good he is in terms of his arm talent and what it looks like just watching some of the film, which we are going to watch here in a moment. Jerry, what I found, I don't know if it was fascinating, it may be intriguing last year, is that both when you and Scar would go to the film after the game, the very first play last year against East Carolina, both of you were excited about it. And it was just a run, but you were like, this is Michigan football. This is what they're doing. They're getting. So if I'm scripting out the first 4 or 5 plays, would you expect that Michigan runs its old bread and butter and Donovan Edwards gets the ball and he goes over whatever you said, left guard, whoever, the Preeb, I think maybe is the best offensive lineman there, that the play is going to be Donovan Edwards over the left side. That's going to be the odds-on favorite for the first call of the game.
I think it's a good way to start the season. I mean, let's get all the butterflies out. You know, Denny, that first hit does so much. You remember all the emotion, all the anticipation coming into this game, all the anxiety. You know, Denny, I can remember my first games. I would always be tired early in the game because of all the excitement. And I think that's what you're going to see. You're going to see both teams come out and hit and pound and get after it. I do think that our offensive line is going to win the day at the end because I think this defensive line is a little undersized. I think we'll wear them down a little bit and really take control in the third and fourth quarter.
If I'm Kirk Cousins,
but don't be surprised. You know, we're running play 2, and then here comes a play action pass on 1st and 10 or something like that. So, you know, they're going to work something real safe in for whoever the quarterback is to get his first couple completions and get his confidence up.
Yeah, so with that, a run to Donovan Edwards to say, hey, look, this is Michigan football. When these guys look at the film and they look at this is how the offensive line has been blocking for 50 years at Michigan. And then you want Warren to throw a nice, easy pass to get him comfortable if he's going to be the quarterback. How about that little wide receiver screen over to Samaj Morgan? I could easily see that as the second one. Khalil Mullings is going to be a big part of that. The third scripted play is Mullings straight ahead. And then if they are even close to, you know, like a 4th and 1 situation, I could see Mullings again. So those would be my first 4 plays that how I would script them and how I could see it.
Sounds good to me, Denny. Let's go pound them.
Yeah. The other thing I want to see, you know, I always wonder what's going to happen when you have a new field goal kicker. You know, last year Turner was so great for Michigan, especially down the stretch, and now you get the transfer from Arkansas State. The sounds like a hockey defenseman, Zavada. We'll see what he's bringing to the table. Maybe he's just going to kick. I always have a friend say, I just want to see him kick extra points, and I get that, but maybe maybe right before the half, a nice little 47-yard field goal. See what kind of.
Hey, Denny, don't make light of it. Don't make light of it. I watched the game last night against Minnesota and North Carolina.
Good point.
And if you remember earlier in the season, earlier in our shows, like back in the spring when we were looking at some of the different teams we were going to have to play, I thought Minnesota was going to win that game. And one of the reasons I thought they were going to win that game is because they had a kicking game that was very respected coming back to this season. And so what happens? North Carolina's new kicker kicks 2 over 40, 1 over 50, and the veteran misses 2. So kicking game is, don't ever underestimate the kicking game.
Keegan is saying he can't wait for the orgy Bredesen tush push, and I go back to the film analysis from last year, Jerry, when you had Michigan getting down. I think they tightened up their splits, and then you had them like in a wedge formation down there on the goal line. And if you put Bredesen deep or Khalil Mullings with Alex Orji, and they know it's coming, just like they know it's coming in Philadelphia with Jalen Hurts. That's happening. If
I like that scenario better than I like the push. The push, you might get half a yard, what you need. But when think about this lineup. How about this, Denny? How about you have Bredesen and Mullings flanking Orji, and now you don't know where the power is going to come, where the quarterback power is going to come. And by starting Davis Warren, is Sharon telling us, yeah, I plan on running Orji a lot, and he's going to take some hits, and I can't bet on the whole season on him making the whole season because of the hits he's going to take. This could be something that might be up Sharon's sleeve. So we'll see. We'll see tomorrow night. I'm so excited to see this game tomorrow night.
Yeah, I am too. Openers are always intriguing just to see. We talk about it all off season, and then this is it. And then as soon as they kick it off, you don't throw everything out the window, but then you just see like, oh, hey, here's a little bit of a surprise, and and how they're going to play and everything else. And for this, with Sharon Moore taking over for Jim Harbaugh and all the different coaches that they have, and you're looking over there on the sideline, who's going to be different, and then clearly the offense is going to have a bunch of different guys. But let's the defense, Jerry, everybody talks about it in glowing terms, and I would say with good reason. I think that just based on how I heard Lamar Morgan, the new Michigan DB coach, and how I have heard Sharon Moore talk about Jair Hill, they talk about him like he's just automatic over there. Shug Hill. I think Wink, if he's got Will Johnson that you can put out on an island, I think that puts Shug Hill out on an island too. Well, that allows you to do a lot of different things if you're a creative defensive coordinator like Wink Martindale.
Well, here's another thing, Denny. I mean, obviously, we know Wink's going to come. We know that our defense has evolved into a more aggressive defense than we were the last 3 years. Same philosophy, same personnel groupings, all that is going to be the same, but I think Wink's going to come a little bit more. And obviously, he's seen Johnson. He knows what he's got with Johnson. But obviously, he's been really staring at Hill to see if Hill's going to stand up to that outside receiver, that number 2 outside receiver. And if he can, now that allows Wink to go a lot more 1 or 0 even coverage. And in fact, I like 0 a lot better. If we're going to come, might as well come. Might as well go after him. So,
Jerry, Ferris says he doesn't get the idea of scripted plays. Down and distance, totally different after the first and second, third play. What do you say to people that are asking about the scripted plays? I've always felt like if you have an inexperienced quarterback, how many plays that you're working through the week. I know Michigan was it number 2 in pre-snap motion and all of this. They've got a brand new quarterback out there. I'm interested to see if they're going to be able to get the play in from the new offensive coordinator with the new offensive line, with the entirely pretty much new offense. Are they still going to have all this eye candy and everything going on? And are they going to then be able to use a thick playbook and have all these different things? The advantage to set up a question to you that I'm taking a minute to set up is that you want some scripted plays to just have the offense get comfortable and execute a few things where they know what's going to happen when they come out there. How do you see the scripted plays?
Well, you've got coaches out there that swear by it. And Andy Reid out in Kansas City has been doing it for decades. He has his first 15 scripted. I never knew how to do that because I'm thinking I got 15 plays. I don't know the down and distance for those plays. So I try to stay away from it. Both sides have valid points. I mean, Andy Reid has made a life out of scripting his players and putting the defense in the position he wants them to be in and then take advantage of it. So there's good points and bad points, but I guarantee you Davis Warren knows the first 2, 3, 4 plays that are going to be called.
blank name, I have to disagree with. I think you're disagreeing when I said that Turner was great down the stretch for Michigan. You're pointing out that he missed a kick against Alabama, which he did in the second half. But other than that kick in the meat of the schedule against Penn State, I don't think he missed any against Penn State. At Ohio State, he made one that was a huge kick for Michigan in that game. And how many did he make against Iowa? If I had to say off the cuff, blank, I think that he made 8 out of his last 9 field goals when it counted. And that is not faltering down the stretch. That is actually being money down the stretch. He was great down the stretch.
I think our kicking game has been very good over the last 3 years. I think it's helped us win a couple games. I mean, I can go back and I'm thinking against Illinois 2 years ago. I think we had 3 or 4 field goals that he had to make. And I think the same thing against Michigan State 2 years ago. So our kicking game has been solid, and it's won us some games. And let's hope we continue on that.
Yeah, it's one of those things we don't talk about. Jay Harbaugh, not the special teams coach. J.B. Brown. They've got a lot of different guys. How they go out there. It's nice to have Doman, who was excellent in most games. There was the one game that
Doman has been a great punter. I mean, wow, he's put the ball inside the 10 and inside the 15 numerous times. He's come up with big punt after big punt in crucial situation. And yet, I think he might be fighting for a job right now. Because I've heard some punters coming out of Michigan that are looking pretty doggone good.
Wow. He had the one game. I think it was in the Rose Bowl. Like, he kicked great all year long. And then the Rose Bowl,
yep.
I don't know if he was sick or whatever, or just missed some kicks, but then, Miss hit him.
Yep.
But then he came back. I think he was all right in the national championship game. All right, Jerry, we can sit around and talk forever. Let's get into some other thing. How about the film? Well, you got to pop that up there.
Let's see if I can get this.
While you work on it, Jerry, I want to tell everyone something out there. And it's about the Maize and Blue review. We are on the eve, as you know, of the season. And you might be thinking about, I want even more coverage of Michigan. I want nonstop coverage of Michigan. I want up to the second updates about Michigan and Fresno. I want to know what's happening during the game. I want to know where to go during the game if I want to go somewhere. I want to know immediately after the game what everybody's saying about Michigan, what recruits were at the game, what's happening over this Labor Day weekend with Michigan, and when it comes down to a recruit such as Babaloa and all of that. Well, this is why the Maize and Blue review came into existence, to keep you up to speed on everything going on with Michigan. I encourage you to join the Maize and Blue review today. We'd love to see you over there all day, all night. What I have found, I know this is the eve of the opener, but there have been a lot of Detroit Tigers fans who have been popping up in there, and I've been spending a lot of my time. I used to spend all my time on Twitter talking about, the Tigers back and forth. Now I'm on the Maize and Blue review all day and all night. If I'm not talking about Michigan, I might be talking about the Tigers. We'll see you over there on the Den. Again, michigan.rivals.com. I encourage you to join up. I encourage you to hang in there. And you want to know a little bit about Fresno? Well, we've got Jerry right here, and he's ready to walk us through a few things.
Okay, Denny, you can see the screen?
Yeah, it looks great.
Okay. All right, first of all, I'm going to go over this DC Kevin Coyle. Started his career in 79, 80 as a graduate assistant at University of Cincinnati. This guy comes to Fresno with about 16, 17 years in the NFL. So he's bringing a very complex defense, an NFL-style defense to Fresno. And they were very successful last year. When you look at some of the stats that stand out, they were 14th against the scoring in the nation last year, allowing less than 20 points per game. That's pretty doggone good. That's impressive. And he's bringing this very aggressive NFL-style team, defensive scheme, and that's what they're looking at. Look at how tight these corners are. Look at how tight these press coverages are. They're right up on the ball. Even in bunch, they're not giving them much room. I mean, you're looking at what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 guys within a 5-yard radius of the ball. So that's the kind of defense we should expect to see tomorrow night. 2 guys inside that have been that are returning that have been very solid for Fresno State. Jacob Holmes, you're going to see him get a sack here, 6'3", 300 pounds, big, active, very mobile for 300-pounder. And then Devin Bridges, 6'2", 255, a little bit lighter, but moves well, 51 tackles, 3.5 sacks last year. He was preseason All Mountain West first team. Second team, he's first team preseason pick this year. And so this is the kind of pressure they're going to come with. This is the kind of stuff they're going to come with. 4 guys coming, but you don't know where they're coming from because they're so tight to the ball. And so this quarterback's got to make a decision. He steps up. There's nowhere to step up into. And then the big fellow makes a Holmes makes a play there for Fresno. This team is very good. Very good personnel. They got a lot of people coming back this year, so they should be just fine on defense.
Michigan blocks that Holmes like 54 did there. Whoever that is, they should bring in a replacement. That was some terrible. He flat out whiffed, and then he held.
Yeah, absolutely. So, gosh, I have all my notes all set up, and I can't find them now. Okay, here's Dion Clark, 6'1", 206, comes out of Massillon, Ohio. He was a transfer from Kent State. Very active player. Second leading tackler on the team. 1 tackle for loss. 1 forced fumble recovery. 3 interceptions. I think he was third in the Mountain West with that. 2 quarterback hurries, breakups. This guy is very active. He's kind of like their what was the old Honey Badger from LSU. That's who he kind of reminds me of a little bit, this Dean Clark. What was his name? You remember who I'm talking about, Denny?
Oh, yeah, the Honey Badger. I picked him to win the Heisman from LSU. Sure, yeah, great player.
Kid's very active, always around the ball, always has a nose for the ball. Great football background coming from Massillon. Kid's going to be ready to play against Michigan in Ann Arbor. I guarantee you that. Let me see here. What do we got? Okay. Phoenix Jackson, 6'4", 220. Big, strong safety. Started as a sophomore. Best game was the bowl game, which means he's getting better and better. Watch him come up and fill this run play by New Mexico. He comes up like a bat out of hell, like he knows how, and he's not afraid to throw his body in there and sacrifice his body. So they've got plenty of talent on the defensive side of the ball. Fresno has plenty of talent on the defensive side of the ball. Let me see here. Okay, we got Phoenix. Okay, boy, I love it. Before we were talking today, Denny, I was looking at this and I'm thinking, gosh, this could be orgy all day long, and I'm looking at this play, and this is something that Fresno gives up a little bit. Their pro style offense really does not play that zone read, and I was kind of anticipating Michigan doing a lot more zone read with Orji, but that could be some of the result right there when Orji gets in.
He wears number 10.
He wears number 10.
All right, we'll keep an eye out on that.
And I think we're done with it, Denny. Yeah, I think we're good. We're good.
All right. It was Tyrann Mathieu was the
Tyrann Mathieu. Yep, exactly.
Tremendous player, no doubt about that. And we'll see. So, Jerry, can you mention any Michigan players? You start talking about Massillon, Ohio. One guy, I think Sean Crable Was from Massillon.
Yeah.
Isn't that where they? I don't know if it's the mayor. They present a football to every newborn or something, and they put it in the crib. So
Denny, I come from Youngstown, Ohio, and I pride myself on high school football, root football, that kind of stuff that goes all the way down to the pee-wees and stuff. That's where that's what we're born in Ohio. I mean, it's football first, and then after that, you make your determination. But Massillon, that's where Spillman came from. Chris Spillman, we almost got him, but his dad said, "There's no way you're going to be a Wolverine. You're playing at Ohio State." We almost said we had him. Scar had him. We had him, but there was no way. I'll tell you my experience with Massillon. Youngstown, Cardinal Mooney, we're going up to scrimmage them, and it was a big thing because we were both preseason ranked. They ended up going 10-0. Making the playoffs. We ended up 9-1 and didn't make the playoffs. And we got there, and it was so intimidating because it was the first time I'd ever seen a high school with a platoon style team. And I'm talking the uniforms were platoon, everything was platoon. You knew they had 90 guys on their team. You knew 45 were in the orange, that was the offense. 45 were in the white, that was the defense. And it was impressive. And then we went to the game and we scrimmaged, and we scrimmaged in the stadium. Denny, that floor rivaled the Rose Bowl. That thing was so pure that the grass was so pure. It was just a beautiful setting. And then I'm talking to my buddy Mike Stoops, and I'm like, "Mike, I thought this place was going to be packed." He goes, "D, man, you got 25,000 people that could fill this stadium. It's half packed. There's 12, 13,000 people watching the scrimmage right now." That's the kind of excitement. That's the kind of football that's played in Northeastern Ohio. That's the kind of excitement. That's what these kids are brought up in, and that's why I brought that young man up. Transferring from Kent State, from Massillon, he's got some football background. There's no question in my mind. He's going to be out there ready to play tomorrow.
That was a testament to Friday Night Lights right there. That was awesome. If I'd have been thinking about it, Dexter, where I live now, they are traveling east to where I went to high school, Livonia Franklin. That's going to be a real barn burner tonight. They're on Joy Road in Merriman, watching the Dreadnoughts and the Patriots.
Who are they playing?
Dexter is at Livonia Franklin tonight.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Hey, Denny, we had some great football last night, and great high school football last night. Rockford beat Cass Tech 30-23, I believe.
I'm wondering how East Kentwood did. That was where I was wondering what was happening.
East Kentwood's defense shut out the mighty Heartland Eagles 21-0. Wow. And great. It was great to be back in there, Denny. I mean, it's the first time I've been coaching in a couple years, and God, it was a lot of fun.
Was it? It was great. Good to be back. On there on the sideline, Jerry.
I was up in the box, Denny.
Oh, up in the
box. And usually I'm on the field, but I was up in the box and got a whole different light. Heck of a workout. Those stairs are they were high. That press box was high. I had to go up it 4 times. I was huffing and puffing.
You got binoculars, or are you just able to take it all in without the binoculars?
Glasses. Got the goggles.
Glasses? Okay.
Got the goggles.
That's it. I like it. Well, you see the game from up there in the booth. That's it. Well, Jerry, a couple other things here. You talked about last night. Tonight, I'll be watching the Spartans to see how they do. And how about, do you have I was going to give a pick or two. What I've noticed from everyone that's been picking the Michigan game, at least people, they like the under. They like the under Michigan Fresno. If you're thinking, I want to bet something, I need a prop. What I've been able to ascertain from people that like to gamble, they like Michigan and Fresno to go under the number. Any games jump out to you?
Well, Denny, I haven't been very good on some of my picks. I mean, remember, I picked USC getting spanked in the bowl game last year. So, But I'm going to start off this year, not putting any money down, but calling out Temple covering 42 against Oklahoma. I think that's a lot of points in the first game.
Yeah, that is a lot.
I don't think Western's going to be ready to go up to Wisconsin and keep them from scoring 23 points more than they score. So I think Wisconsin's going to cover that 23. Temple, long shot, but I think they're going to cover that 42. And then Michigan State and FAU.
Yeah.
Kind of like the over.
The over. Okay.
What would the over under on that one, Denny?
I don't know. I'd have to look it up, see if I can find it for you. Jerry, did you watch the Netflix Connor Stalions story?
Yes, I did, Denny.
And I know how you have talked about this situation all year long. Now, I'm guessing it's going to be similar. What did you think of it?
Well, first of all, I love Connor Stalions' lawyer. Not only has he dominated the NCAA in court cases, but he hates the NCAA, and for good reason. He calls them corrupt, and a word I couldn't figure out how to say it a couple weeks ago. They're hypocrites. They're a bunch of hypocrites, okay? And so this lawyer is just licking his chops to go 6-0 against the NCAA. And he brings up a very valid point. If Connor Stalions didn't send this information out, how did they get Connor Stalions' information? That's called hacking. That's called hacking. And it's a federal offense. What Connor Stalions did, he was doing at Navy. And they knew what he was doing because it was legal what he was doing. And Connor Stalions made it a profession. The guy is unbelievably sharp, very sharp. He knows how to teeter the edge. And I think the NCAA's got some explaining to do. They better come up with who gave them the information because the way I understood it, this is a federal situation.
I think this is I think that Connor Stalions will in something to go after whoever hacked his computer. I think he's got a good case, but the NCAA doesn't care about that. They don't care about how the information came to light. They just care about the information. So I think you just put that over here. And I don't.
Unless they knew that information was hacked.
That doesn't matter that doesn't matter, Jerry. How the information came to light does not matter. It matters to Connor Stalions if he wants to sue someone. I mean, so you can't,
That's where it matters, Denny. That's what I'm talking about. That's the only thing I'm talking about.
The thing, Connor Stalions has fooled a lot of people, and I don't know if I include you, but the Michigan fans that are acting like he's some kind of hero or something. Connor Stalions is a shyster, and that's what came. He has been a shyster. I don't want to say all along, but it's dangerous when you're a super fan of a team. When your mother says we're crazed Michigan fans, like all of us watching are crazed Michigan fans. You have to be able to turn it on and off when you're doing a job. And I don't think Connor Stalions was able to do that. And on one hand, he was like, I'm gaining the system. I'm exploiting the system. And on the other hand, he's saying, no, I was just sending tickets to people just to watch the games. Well, which was it, Connor? The Michigan should never have anything to do with Stalions. They will be lucky if they're able just to move on from this. And, everybody can do anything they want, and however they look at it. But, there's a lot of people that want to act like Michigan, has done zero wrong and everybody's coming out there and coming after them and trying to get them. And I don't feel like that. I don't feel like that. Now, is the NCAA a joke? And are they airing? They don't make themselves look good, airing dirty laundry and trying to put Michigan on de facto probation. All of that stuff is true. I'm not defending the NCAA. I'm just telling the Michigan fans here that think Connor Stalions is some kind of hero, that he's a shyster. That's what I think.
Denny, I'm not going to say he's a hero or a shyster. I'm going to agree to disagree with you. And I'm going to say it this way. What he did was legal. I mean, think about it. Then he goes in the Navy, the Naval Academy, the epitome of ethics, right?
Yeah.
Okay. He goes in and he says, I want to be on your staff. I want to help out. How can I help out? Well, go decipher codes. Means it's legal.
I would just say that's all fine what he did, but where he screwed up is when he paid people to go to games and shoot videos. Now you could say, well, my interpretation is that those people aren't on the staff. And I understand that distinction that people want to look at it like that. I think the common sense when you look at it is that if you are getting paid to go to a game and shoot video, the common sense that I would think by an extension would be that you are an advanced scout. And that's the way I feel about it. Now, Michigan is saying, well, no, that's not the letter of the law. I don't know. When it comes down to an interpretation, I don't know how the NCAA is going to interpret it. I know how Michigan fans are interpreting it, but I don't know how the
NCAA. You know one thing though, Denny.
What's that?
They got rid of the rule and put headsets in.
Yeah, they did that.
I mean, they kind of admitted that the rule is stupid.
Well, I think that, and I think that Michigan has paid a heavy price already. They've had to have people coming at them from left and right and, bad mouthing them. And that is something. And also their head coach was suspended 3 games right in the middle of a championship run. I think that they've served their time. And so I'm not acting like, moving forward that, but I'm just giving you my opinion on the whole thing. That's how I see it. And I hope that they're able to just put this behind them and move on from it. And it doesn't deal with, Sharon Moore, nothing's going to happen to him and whatever it is. Am I hoping for a big fine? I'm just hoping that if there's a way that they can move on from this as fast as possible, 90 days, another, couple months, and just put it behind it instead of everybody getting online and talking about Stalions as a hero and, the conspiracy theories and everything else. People enjoy all that stuff. There's a part of it. It's just a lot of drama and a lot of fun. Like Connor Stalions didn't kill anyone. Now he's not on trial for murder. He worked around a rule. That's what he did. And so I hope Michigan, they've already served their time, that they can just get this and put it behind them.
I think you hit the nail right on the head, Denny. Connor Stalions worked around the rule because the rule was not solidly in place. They didn't have the barriers. Okay, so they allowed that rule to be manipulated. That's their fault. That's not Connor's fault. They allowed it. Okay. The funniest, Denny, the best part of that whole documentary to me was when Stalions saw Michael Barrett after the Michigan-Ohio State game in Ann Arbor Stadium, in Michigan Stadium, and they hugged, and it was a great thing. And that to me was the best part of the documentary, because that was kind of the thumb in the eye to the NCAA.
Yeah, it reminded me again, like we take it, and I understand people take it very seriously. Like they're listening to me and they're like, why is this SOB saying anything like he sounds like he's from Ohio State? I mean, I get that, people coming at me like that. That was not a documentary. That was a show made for entertainment. When you've got Bro, Ohio, I thought it was a nice job by the producers to put Stalions, who as a high schooler, instead of trying to go to Michigan, said, if research coaches and they go to the Naval Academy. And so, I mean, him looking at, his life and playing it out like that, to then have to sit in that dark parking lot across from the stadium really was dramatic to me. And I thought when he had a manifesto, I thought he was a little crazier than, I don't think he's that crazy. I think he's a shyster a little bit, like I said, but I do think that I was expecting his manifesto to be like written in longhand or in or crayon or something. And what he had, those spreadsheets with the recruiting and all that, he's pretty sharp. I mean, there's a spot for him.
And this goes back a long time before Michigan, Denny.
Yeah, I know.
This is accumulated information. This is not something that came out of nowhere. That, oh my God, somebody's stealing signs. It was going on throughout the country. We just happened to get the best of them.
Yeah, if there was there a way that I felt like he could have been like still in Michigan football's good graces? It was that part of it would have been not going on a Netflix show. The other part would have been coming out of a putting sunglasses out, coming out of a restaurant, making a joke. I like all that. Him acting like the joke was on everyone else when they asked him about him being on the CMU sideline. We all know that he was on the CMU sideline, and I don't know, like if he would have in that documentary said, "Look, I took it a little bit too far. I thought I was working around, whatever the facts are, Jerry. Like I think that he saw this and said, "Hey, I can pay people. I don't have to spend 1,000 hours watching film. I can spend 10 hours and I'm going to have the film right there in front of me of exactly what I want," which is kind of genius, but it does, it works around that rule. Should he have talked to compliance and said, "Hey, can I pay people? Is it breaking I don't talk about the spirit. Is it breaking this bylaw if I pay for a ticket for my friend to sit across from the Michigan State game and film their sideline?" He should have checked with compliance that way. If you're checking everything along the way, that's what he should have done. And if he would have been like, "Look, I thought it was working around the rule and I just got a little hubris here and just got caught up in everything," I'd have a little bit more respect from him. But him lawyering up and saying, "I don't recall if I was on the Central Michigan sideline," preposterous. Of course, you remember everything. That's part of the "I don't remember if I was at the restaurant during a no contact period." Nobody believes that. You shouldn't believe that if you're a Michigan fan.
Denny, I love the fact that you're saying the other side. Okay, I respect the heck out of you for doing that, especially when you're on this channel and there are a bunch of Michigan people that are really upset, because I have a lot of respect for you doing that. And you bring up great points, Denny. I can't argue with some of those points. Can't argue with it. The fact of the matter is, I wouldn't want him on the other sideline.
Well, I think that, it's weird. I see it in football a lot. You see it with coaches. Like I'm not talking about Michigan now, like any coach, like, gets in trouble and then, he ends up, he has to get fired from that school. Well, then he serves his time and does something. Maybe he goes to the pros, but then he comes back and then he's with another team. And it's like, everything's great again. And that part is weird. Like Stalions I know he's, coaching in high school now. Who knows if he's going to hit? I know they said a 3-year ban at the end, and they could come over the top with a show cause for another 3 or 4 years. But I don't know. And if he comes back,
they won't be around for 6 years. They won't be around for 3 years.
Well, so if he comes back, let's just say in 5 years, I wouldn't want him to work for Michigan myself. I can understand. Like, he's a hero. I'm just looking at all of the people that they all love. People love Connor Stalions. They do not like what I'm saying. They love everything that he stood for. They came out of the documentary thinking that, he's a hero. And so I get that. It's interesting to see how Michigan fans have responded to it, but it's not a surprise. And look, if it was another team, all of their fans would be doing the same thing. They'd be touting this guy like he's great. And then Michigan, so it's a lot of it's a rivalry thing. I understand that. If it was Michigan State, everybody would be like, "This is the dirtiest, corrupt, cheating program of all time. What do you expect?" But the shoe's on the other foot. It's like, hey, the NCAA is coming out to get Michigan. Everybody's coming after Jim Harbaugh. It's like, all right, okay, so that's where we're at. It's a drama thing. It's an entertainment thing. And this is a Michigan channel. So, F the NCAA and anybody that ever says anything negative.
Hey, Denny, I got a question for you.
All right, go ahead.
Did the NCAA ask the people that brought the information to them? Did the NCAA ask them if they got it legally?
Yeah, I don't know the answer to that. I don't like. I remember when
I'm not crazy about that the argument, but I guarantee you one thing: what they did was a felony.
Yeah,
whoever got that information got a felony on them.
What it reminded me of, Jerry, is that in baseball there was a list. I forget what the list was called, but they had asked people anonymously in baseball about using steroids and performing enhancers, and they said, "Hey, this is going to be anonymous and everything else." And these guys checked, like, "Okay, yeah, I did it, and all this thing." And then the list came to light. They're like, "Wait a second, you said that this list was not going to come out, that that you were not going to use this." And then everybody's like, "Who cares? These guys, should be banned. They should be suspended. They should not be in the Hall of Fame." And these guys were like, "Hey, we thought this was an anonymous list." And so, from that standpoint, when they did, a private investigator hacking in, that's illegal. That's done dirty. Should the NCAA say, "Hey, this was obtained"?
Definitely, Denny. Wait a minute. You want me as an entity to suspend this guy for 3 years without investigation with your information, and I'm not supposed to ask you where it came from? Bull.
Yeah, well, that's an interesting point. And again, I don't know. Like, an attorney told me that it doesn't matter. That how it matters for Stalions and anything if he wants to go after, if he's able to find that investigative firm hacking into, that is an offense. He would be able to sue somebody. But the NCAA, according to a lawyer that I talked with, said they don't care how the information came out. It's just,
unless, of course, they're an accessory.
That the NCAA was the one hacking the computer,
or they knew how they got it, or how they knew how those people got the information in the first place. I don't think the NCAA is dumb enough to get information and not ask where it came from. I think they put themselves in a real bad position by accepting that information. Period. They better have known where it came from. I know they know where it came from.
Harvey says Stalions shouldn't admit to anything while he's being taped, and the investigation is still ongoing because they haven't made a determination. Smart. Well, he shouldn't be, doing Netflix and chill, but I don't know. He got paid a pretty penny probably to do it. So why not? I don't know. He came on a little bit of, hey, look at him, Connor Stalions kind of thing. I don't know. That was my.
Danny, I love it. I have so much respect for you for voicing your opinion. Absolutely. I just don't want to see this guy on the other sideline.
Yeah, I understand. I sometimes wonder why I do it, because it just makes people like, I don't know, you're a jerk, kind of thing.
No way, Denny. No way. I love it, man. It heats everything up, keeps people coming back for more.
Well, Jerry, give me a final thought on the opener tomorrow and what you're looking for from Michigan.
31-10 Michigan. 13-10, 13-3 at halftime.
Well, that's boiling it down. I want to just look to see my exact score. I am making a selection. I do have Sharpening the Edge coming up at 5:00, where we will pick Michigan State Lions every week, along with 3 best bets of the week coming your way at 5:00. I'll be picking Michigan to win 27-14. So along Michigan wins. I like the under. And what really stands out to me, I think Samaj Morgan is going to be boosted up. He's going to be a star. No question. I think Jair Hill, and it's not based on me watching him, it's just based on listening to the coaches and the players talk about him. I think cornerback number 2, Michigan is going to have the best corner duo in the country.
Denny, if there's a weakness on the defense coming into the season, I thought it was the DBs, but now I'm thinking, oh man, we might be solid everywhere.
Hey, and one thing we know, it's going to be a lot of fun, and it's going to be tough to wait to 7:30. I can recall some of the past openers, Jerry, like I get up really early now because I was telling you, I'm babysitting a puppy golden retriever and he likes getting up at 5 a.m. So what am I going to do? But it wasn't always like that. But back in the day, even in my 20s, when I'm staying up till 2 a.m. or whatever else, opener, man, I was up at 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning. I'd put on some Bob Ufer in the house. I used to walk to the stadium, and it would be like Christmas and your birthday in one day, and it was spectacular.
It's such a great time of the year. It's so awesome. Love it. Football season's here.
Love the opener. Congratulations on the W and being back on the sideline or in the booth like you were last night. We look forward, Jerry. You're going to be up late tomorrow, and we'll discuss Michigan's victory over Fresno afterwards on the post-game show right here on the Maize and Blue Review.
Sounds great, Denny. Can't wait to join you after a Michigan victory.
And what do you usually say signing off, Jerry?
Oh, my Lordy. Hail to the victors.
Smash that like button. We'll talk